What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I'm back with another CD collection update for you guys. It's the 16th one, and probably the last one for a little while, but to make up for the fact that there won't be an update for a little while, we got a massive stack, well, two separate stacks into one, because, holy crap, I may have lost my mind in the past few weeks, but some of these were actually birthday presents. Some I bought from all over the place. I got stuff from Amazon, eBay, Discogs, Miami Metal Merchant, and some from Hell's Headbangers, kind of going all over the map. And like I said, some were birthday presents, and then the rest I just bought. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time and get into the collection. So we're going to start from the bottom up, so from reverse alphabetical order. So first, we've got Voivod Synchro Anarchy, album that came out this year, and I remembered reviewing this album earlier this year, and I absolutely loved it just for how weird and bizarre, but yet how heavy and catchy it is. For a prog metal album, this might be the best prog metal album of the year. Well, it's neck and neck with this and Evergrey, in my opinion, for differing reasons. But this album kicked a lot of ass, although this is a perennial example of why Amazon needs to get their shit together. See that big crack on the case? Message to Amazon, stop fucking your shit up. But I digress. But yeah, great album. If you want to know my full opinion about it, go check out my review, and you'll understand. Next up, we got a pair here from Vader. Now, during my birthday, I got a coupon code from Nuclear Blast Records for 15% off, so I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to use that chance to get a couple albums cheaper, and, well, I got De Profundis and Necropolis. So yeah, I'm actually slowly working my way to getting everything Vader, because before these two, I just had Ultimate Incantation, Tibi et Igni, and Solitude and Madness. But now I got two different albums right here. We got De Profundis and Necropolis. De Profundis, I've heard from so many people that this might be the best Vader album. And Necropolis, I've seen reviews for Necropolis, and it seems to be kind of mixed, so curious to know how my opinions will vary, because you never know, one of these days I'll probably end up ranking Vader albums. So yeah, interesting duality of albums right here with these two. One that a lot of people say is the best, and one that might be near the bottom of the totem pole. But that depends on who you ask. Next up, we get an early 90s classic in the world of grunge and metal, and that's Soundgarden Bad Motorfinger. I've been needing to get this album for years, just always slipped my mind, but if I recall, I think I got this one as a birthday present. If not, I might have bought it myself. I probably bought it myself, but regardless, yeah, Bad Motorfinger, it's an early 90s classic. I mean, songs like Rusty Cage, Outshine, Slaves and Bulldozers, Jesus Christ Pose, Room 1,000 Years Wide. I mean, Soundgarden, one of the best bands during that era, and this album, as well as Louder Than Love and Super Unknown, I think are living proof that Soundgarden is a worthy band of Hall of Fame stature, and may you rest in peace, Chris Cornell. But yeah, fantastic stuff from 1991. Glad to finally have it. Next up, we get to another album that came out this year, and this one was one that I got off of Hell's Headbangers. I got Perdition Temple's Merciless Upheaval. I reviewed this album briefly in one of the episodes of Under the Radar this year, and I remember describing it as like blackened Morbid Angel, and I still stand by that, even though it has Gene from Angel Corpse, which Angel Corpse was basically like blackened, thrashy Morbid Angel right there. But this is definitely more Blackened Death for sure, and I do like it for the first half being all originals, second half being covers. So it was like two EPs mashed into one full length, and this is one of my favorites of the year so far. Don't be surprised if you see this in the Album of the Year list. But yeah, like their cover of Blood on My Hands by Morbid Angel from Covenant, it's so fucking nasty and raw. Check this out if you haven't already, I'll just tell you right now. Alright, and now we got 3 here that I'm going to show off, and this is to complete my Nile collection. So we got At the Gate of Sethu, What Should Not Be Unearthed, and Vile Nihilistic Rites. So all 3 albums have something different to offer. Like, At the Gate of Sethu would probably be everybody's least favorite Nile album, just for the standpoint of production. Wasn't the greatest production sound. Even though it was, I believe it was Neil Kernan who did the production on this album. I could be wrong. But then they came back big with What Should Not Be Unearthed. I mean, with songs like Call to Destruction, the title track, Rape of the Black Earth. And also it was the last one with Dallas Toller Wade in the band. And then Vile Nihilistic Rites, which has Brian Kingsland on guitar and vocals. And this was a great album, just kind of felt like a transition album. I feel like whenever they come back with a new album, whether it be this year or next year, I think it will blow this one out of the water, at least in my mind. But, yeah, all 3 really cool stuff, thus completing my Nile catalog, the Nile discography. So the day I get to rank that discography, which could happen relatively soon, but yeah, it's going to be fucking difficult. Next up, we get another one that I got from Hell's Headbangers, and this was another one I had been dying to get for years. Thank God I found out Hell's Headbangers did a re-release of it, and that's Necrophagia Season of the Dead. One of the early death metal albums, and also from my home state, Ohio. Frank Killjoy, may you rest in peace. This is a hell of an album. It's raw, it's gritty, thrashy death metal. Really, really cool, and I loved Killjoy's vocals on this album. They kind of sound like they sit in between thrash, black metal, and death metal vocals. It's like a hybrid of all 3 in his vocal delivery on here. And I mean songs like Ancient Slumber, Mental Decay, Bleeding Torment, just gross, raw, fun death metal right here. So, yeah, definitely check this out. This is a cult classic, 1987, same year as Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, so an early contributor to the death metal scene right here. Next up, we finally get to something that was a birthday present from my buddy Ricky, Horror Master, co-host of the Shadow Cult and Horseman podcasts. Napalm Death, Throes of Joy, and the Jaws of Defeatism. This was one of my top 10 favorites from 2020, and this was a hell of an album from one of the pioneers of grind. And man, for guys that are now in their early 50s, they show no signs of slowing down. In fact, they somehow find a way to stay mega fast, but try and incorporate other elements, like the Thai Final song, Belly Full of Salt and Spleen, with that more like doomy Killing Joke vibe. Definitely showing some experimentation here, and I can't wait to hear what Napalm Death has in store next, because I don't want them to go away anytime soon, and thankfully they're not. They signed a contract extension with Century Media for more stuff, so who knows what we're going to get in the future from the Legends of Grind. Maybe an album next year? Probably. But yeah, this is a hell of an album right here. Now, the next 4, we're going to get into some dirty, evil, sleazy stuff. We got 4 Midnight albums. We got Satanic Royalty, their debut, and this in particular is a thick monstrosity. It's 3 discs. It has the album, the rough, like, raw mix demos of the album, and a DVD. So this is a monstrosity right here, but I'm so glad I got this version of the album. I also bought this one off of Hell's Headbangers too. But yeah, really cool stuff right there. And then the other remaining 3 we got, and again, Amazon, stop fucking the cases up. We got, which one was this? No Mercy for Mayhem, Sweet Death and Ecstasy, and Rebirth by Blasphemy. So I now have all of the studio albums from Midnight. The only thing is I'm missing now are the 2 compilation albums, and I do plan on getting those hopefully in the next few weeks. And then I'll have everything Midnight, which is really cool because I can definitely see where my boy James from Hellripper got a chunk of his influence from, was from these albums and the compilations and stuff. And the new album, Let There Be Witchery, is fucking amazing too, one of my favorites of the year. But yeah, you can't go wrong with Athanar. He's just a badass. Hopefully I'll get a chance to interview him on the podcast. That would be pretty sweet. But yeah, 4 Midnight albums galore. So now moving on to a couple of ones here, one of them being a birthday present. But Mastodon the Hunter, and then the birthday present, Once More Round the Sun. Of course, you guys just saw last week my Mastodon discography ranking, and these definitely, while they were on the bottom, still great albums for differing reasons. I mean, The Hunter, I still love it. I was so attached to it whenever I first heard it in high school. But yeah, it's fucking brilliant in my opinion for that more mainstream style. And then Once More Round the Sun, continuation, maybe a notch heavier, maybe not as cohesive in my mind, but still amazing. Nothing more, nothing less to be said. If you want to know my full opinions on those albums, watch my Mastodon ranking. Next two, we get a couple more birthday presents. These were from my mom, and thank you, Mom, and I love you. Led Zeppelin 2 and 3. Trying to get some of the classic Led Zeppelin stuff, like before these two, I only had Houses of the Holy, so the only ones that I'm missing as far as like the great Zeppelin stuff is Zeppelin 1, Zeppelin 4, and Physical Graffiti, which I do plan to get those hopefully before the end of the year, but 2 and 3... I mean, Zeppelin 2 is seen as, like, maybe the best album in the Zeppelin catalog, just for the mere fact that you got songs like Whole Lotta Love. Trying to find the track list. I think they put the track list from 3 on the back of this, so they fucked up royally there. But yeah, I think Communication Breakdown was on here too. I can't remember. But Zeppelin 3, of course, the big standout is Immigrant Song. That's such a catchy, fun Viking tune. And Celebration Day. Yeah. 2, classic hard rock, blues rock, made like proto-metal. But yeah, really, really fun stuff right here. And I'm glad to have a couple of classics. Now for the next one, I bought this one off of Amazon, and one of my favorites from last year, Chemists Deceiver, and I definitely need to get the remaining Chemists albums, because this is some great, like, classic metal, doom metal, with some death doom breakdowns and moments. But yeah, this was a fantastic album when I heard it last year, and it made my top 30 list. But yeah, this is some awesome stuff. And then the final album of the first stack is another birthday present, Iron Maiden, No Prayer for the Dying. I know this one isn't looked fondly by Maiden fans, but even the quote-unquote bad Iron Maiden albums are still good. Like, there's still some good stuff on here, like the title track, Run Silent, Run Deep, Mother Russia. Like, there's some great stuff on here. Yeah, not the best Maiden album, but still no slouch. I think it's a good album, just not the best. Now we can finally move on to the second stack. And first off in the second stack, we got one I bought off of Bandcamp, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say the best black metal album of the year so far. Inophilian's Moribund. Basically, it's a supergroup with members of Cryptosis and Necrophobic. And holy shit, this album blew me away when I heard it. Yeah, it's long, but it deserves to be long because the songs are just well crafted, brilliantly written, top to bottom, great melodic stuff, but so evil sounding. Yeah, one of my favorites of this year so far. Don't be shocked to see this in my album of the year. Excuse me, list. I had some chicken, so it's coming back on me. Alright, the next two and another discography completed. We got a pair of fucking bikes. Hooded Menace, we got Fulfill the Curse, the debut, and Darkness Strips Forth. Fulfilled a Curse, this version I bought was the new re-release from Hammerhard Records that came out this year. And yeah, raw, humble beginnings for sure for Hooded Menace. But the album cover looks fucking cool. I can't remember where I bought this one from. I think I bought this one off Amazon as well. But still, this is a really cool debut. And then Darkness Trips Forth, which was on Relapse Records. Yeah, definitely not my favorite Hooded Menace album, but it's still really good. It's probably, if I were to end up ranking Hooded Menace, this might be at the bottom. Just because it's like, not quite as catchy or as brutal, in my opinion, as the remainder of the discography, but still it has its own flair. It's almost Funeral Doom, because there's only 4 tracks and like every song is like 10 minutes or longer. And yeah, and I also like how this is just perfect cardboard packaging. So yeah, really cool stuff right there. But yeah, Hooded Menace discography completed. Next up, this one I got off of Hell's Headbangers, and this one was only $3.33, and that is Funerus Festering Death. The reason why I got this one was not only because it was cheap, but also features members of Incantation, John McEntee and Kyle Severn, but also has John's then-wife Jill on bass. And I've heard reviews on this album saying this is some really good, evil, gross-sounding death metal, very much in the vein of Incantation, because, well, after all, half of the band is Incantation, including the main man behind Incantation. But yeah, raw, gritty, nasty death metal. So if you are a fan of Incantation, chances are you probably already own this, so there you go with that. Next up, we got early 90s thrash classic right here, and that's Forbidden's Twisted into Form. Form. I cannot speak tonight. But yeah, I already have their classic debut, Forbidden Evil, and I thought, you know what, I might as well get the great follow-up. Some people say this is the best Forbidden album. For me, it's a close second. I just really like Forbidden Evil so much just because it's a little more raw, a little bit more gritty. But this is a great album in its own right. I mean, step by step, one of the catchiest early 90s thrash tunes you'll hear. So, and Russ Anderson, how he was able to sing like that in a thrash band is beyond me. So there's that. Next up, this is one I actually got today, the day of recording this, along with another one that will pop up later. Demolich, Nespith. I have been looking for this album forever because big fan of death metal, especially during this early 90s period. And this is a pioneering one in tech death and even avant-garde death. And, of course, most famously for the burped vocals by Annie Bowman. Even though they're not burped, it's like a technique he has that makes him sound like a bullfrog burping his guts out. And it's brutal, but yet it's so strange and bizarre, but it's cohesive. And this particular version, of course, it's not the original album cover. I actually like this more than the original. I mean, the closest glimmers you can get of the original cover's on the disc. But yeah, this was a re-release from Extreme Music in Spain, because, like, you probably couldn't even get the original version from '93, even if you tried. But yeah, fantastic album, and what makes this version particularly great is that it comes with their 4 Instructed Tales of Decomposition demo, which is a great demo. But yeah, so glad to finally have this. Next up, we get a really cool new death metal band, and I did review their last album that came out 2 years ago, and that's Carnation with Chapel of Abhorrence. Yeah, this was a fantastic debut. This was, I think, in my top 10 from 2018. But yeah, songs like Disciples of Bloodlust, the title track, Fathomless Depths, Plague Breeder, Hatred Unleashed. Basically, this album, and Carnation as a whole, I would describe as what would happen if Corpse Grinder was the vocalist and frontman for Entombed on Left Hand Path and Clandestine. That's basically what you get with Carnation, especially this album. Like, the HM2 tone is on display. I forget the vocalist name, Simon, I think. His influence of Corpse Grinder really shines through here. And of course, it's Season of Mist. They put a giant hype sticker on the case and not just on the shrink wrap, which is kind of annoying, but yeah, this is a great debut. So now I have both of their albums. Next up, we got a triple from Candlemass. I thought, you know what? I've been needing to get some more Candlemass because I only had Nightfall for the longest time, but I got their classic debut, Epicus Doomicus Metallicus. After all, it's a classic for a reason. It was pioneering in what's known as Epic Doom, even though I don't think that's a real genre, it's just Doom. But yeah, Solitude, Demon's Gate, Crystal Ball, enough said. Then, of course, I got Ancient Dreams, which, the second album with Messiah Marcolin. I mean, Mirror Mirror, the title track, Bells of Acheron, the Black Sabbath medley at the end of this album. One of the best medley covers I've ever heard. Really cool right there. And then Tales of Creation, the follow-up, again from Amazon. Stop fucking breaking cases. But, yeah, this is a much more raw sounding album in comparison to the other two, or even Nightfall, but it's awesome for that reason. Definitely check out those three Candlemass albums if you haven't already. Next up, we got a pair and another discography completed, at least until their new album comes out in a few weeks, and I'm probably going to end up pre-ordering that. But we got Bloodbath, Breeding Death, and the last album, The Arrow of Satan is Drawn. Two completely different releases. I mean, Breeding Death, an EP with a couple of demos. The original lineup of Michael Ockerfeld, Dan Swano, Jonas Rensk, and Anders Nystrom. Brilliant EP, one of the best EPs during the early 2000s period. Raw, nasty, in your face. And then The Arrow of Satan is Drawn, the second one with Nick Holmes, old Nick from Paradise Lost in the band. And yeah, this might be my least favorite Bloodbath album, but it's still very, very good. I just remembered not being the biggest fan of it when it came out, mostly because I wasn't so used to like the distortion on the HM2 pedal. I liked it when it was on the clean channel, but still a great album for its own unique reason. Next up, this is the other one that I got today, as of recording this video. The day of recording this, I got in the mail today. An underrated death metal debut gem, Baphomet, The Dead Shall Inherit. I mean, this is, again, raw, nasty, dirty-sounding death metal from Buffalo, the same place where Malevolent Creation and Cannibal Corpse came from. And this was kind of like a pioneer for brutal death metal, too, while still feeling like old-school classic death metal at the same time. But you definitely get a lot of dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-duns on here, as well as their demo material. But yeah, this particular version on Peaceville Records in 2006, so kudos to you, Peaceville, for re-releasing this when you did. But yeah, this is a brilliant album. Nothing more, nothing less. Next up, and I think, yeah, this is the last one that I got from Hell's Headbangers, and one that I've heard a lot of people talk about, and it kills me to have not had it until now. Art Noir Black Thrash Attack. After all, I love thrash, and even blackened thrash is really fun in its own right. Figured why not get one of the starting points of the modern blackened thrash sound with Art Noir. And while I haven't gotten a chance to listen to this album fully, I can definitely say that the people do know what they're talking about when they say that this is a great album. But once I get a chance to listen to it, this might be a retro review album, possibly. You never know what will happen, but yeah, really cool right here. Next up, another album I finally got in the collection after all this time, Anthrax Fistful of Metal. I'd say a very underrated debut album because, you know, it's Neil Turbin, not Joey Belladonna, and Dan Lilker in the band on bass before Frankie Bello joined. But yeah, there's some really good stuff on here too. Death Rider, Metal Thrashing Mad, Soldiers of Metal, the song Anthrax Death from Above, even their cover of Alice Cooper's I'm 18, I really, really like. So yeah, I'd say very underrated. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Then the next three in another discography finally completed, and that's Alice in Chains. I got the Sap EP, which is definitely a much softer EP, and also really cool. It features Ann Wilson from Heart. Probably the greatest EP of all time, Jar of Flies. Do I need to say much else? No, I don't. And then finally, their last album, Rainier Fog. Finally got Rainier Fog in the collection. And while I'll still say in terms of the studio albums, this might be the lowest in the rankings, still a great album, going to show how amazing Alice in Chains truly are. That even their lowest ranking album for me is still fantastic. So yeah, Rainier Fog. And then the final three, which were also birthday presents from my mom, and some more AC/DC, and we got three cool ones here. We got High Voltage, the debut, of course, Long Way to Top If You Want to Rock and Roll, The Jack, and TNT. Nothing else to be said there. Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap. For me, the title track and Big Balls do it for me on this one. And then, of course, the sophomore effort with Brian Johnson for those about to rock. Fire! Nothing more, nothing less to be said about this one. And, well, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this collection update. I do have one other album coming soon, but that will be in the next update. As far as when that next update's going to happen, probably be late September. I'm taking a little break to save up some money, and also got the Megadeth concert coming up around this point next month, and I'm hoping to get some merch over there. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this update. Horns high. See you guys soon.
I'm very mad right now. You're kidding me. You are kidding me.
Nah.
He was kidding me! Bruh!
No, I'm not.
No!
I win.
Are you kidding me? No!
I had 4.
I was one card away! One card!
Clutch.
No, dude! Unbelievable. I had 3 7s and a wild card, as well as 3 8s, 2 9s. I was there, dude. No!
So, yeah, it is what it is. But anyways, I whooped his ass.
Boo! Trash game!